Youth participation in democratic governance processes is important to both young people and the government. Youth engagement in democratic governance means that youth are involved and play an active role in planning, budgeting, making decisions, and setting policies. The Youth Conference, Amplifying Youth Voices in Rwanda, was implemented by Citizen Voice and Actions in partnership with the Global Democracy Coalition under the umbrella of Partners for Democracy Day 2024 as an extension of Global Democracy Coalition Forum. This conference was organized on March 19, 2024 and was attended by 70 participants in person and 36 participants who participated virtually. The overreaching goal of this youth conference was to unite young people, civil society organizations, the private sector, academia, and international non-governmental organizations for robust and pragmatic discussions on democracy. Additionally, the youth conference was aimed to foster knowledge exchange and collaborative effort among diverse stakeholders to promote democratic values, engagement, and initiative within community. The event featured panel sessions, which facilitated discussions on strengthening inclusive democratic process and youth participation, and Knowledge Cafe. In his opening remarks, a warm welcome was given to all the guests and participants by CVA chairperson Philippe Mwizerwa. He also stressed that bringing the youth together is of great importance to country's development.
When we look at the influence of young people like you who are here in this room and those who are following us online, they play a big role in the development of the country. Particularly here in Rwanda, I think all of you know the majority of the population of our country is composed of young people, which can act as a catalyst of bringing a transformational lasting changes. Magnifying young people's voice requires a joint effort by both government and non-governmental organizations. I think all of you know the government is doing a lot to empower young people to amplify their voices, where they are putting them in cabinet, giving them different spaces, even in the parliament. On the other hand, the different non-governmental organizations like CVN and others, they are doing a lot to empower and give a free space to the young people to expose their ideas and what they can do better in the society.
Amplifying youth voices was the theme of the conference, addressing a crucial aspect of youth involvement in democracy. The event featured panel session, which facilitated discussions on strengthening inclusive democracy process and youth participation.
You know, in Rwanda, when you look into the total population, the youth constitute 27%. And when we look into the 27%, those who can read and write Kinyarwanda are 89. Those who can read and write in English are 33. And those who can do so in French are 5.4. And I would start with saying the information, the way it's being given. If we have the number that by 89 point something, we can read and write in Kinyarwanda, but the number reduced by almost 50 something when we go into English, and almost all information, and this discussion is also in English. Now we're going to see how are the youth going to be informed on the policies, on the framework, on the flagship that are being given elsewhere. And also not only about the information that's being given in a certain language, but we have youth with disability, and so far they are 3%. And I think that the Union of People with Disability said that the number might be higher than what was given by the National Institute of Statistics. So now the question would be, do young people have information that are inclusive, that are friendly in a way that are attractive to these young people? If you look in the number that was provided by the Never Again research, they said that 4 in 10 young people in Rwanda have attended the National Youth Council meetings. So these are meetings that are concerned, that consult young people where they are supposed to give their voices. Yeah. But if only, not even the half can attend those meetings. So you see that the voice can't be amplified if we don't even have access to platforms that are there for us.
We do this because we want to empower youth to be part of decisions that shape their lives, to be part of the decisions that shape their communities. So We do this through empowering them and equipping them to be active members of inclusive society, increasing youth participation through our models. Like we have some youth, maybe here, some of them, they are participating now. So we do this through our models where we empower youth and like equip them with knowledge they need and skills through the models we use, like Generation Leadership Academy, where we coordinate or we conduct a 2 weeks intensive youth mentorship and leadership program, whereby we combine youth from across the country. They meet together, they sit down, we look for the lecturers, like the speakers, influential speakers, to encourage them and to give youth with knowledge and skill they need to become active. So we do this also in Polytheist Dialogue, whereby we combine youth from across the country annually. So this dialogue becomes like a safe space for youth to know what they have to be, to know what they have to do, to know what is being done in their country. So it becomes like a safe space to amplify youth voices and be the space for youth to raise up their views. So we invite also the local authorities, decision makers, so that they sit down and see what youth need to be done for them.
There is a story waiting to be told, a story of youth empowerment and their journey towards amplifying their voices in the democratic process. Meet the faces of tomorrow, the passionate, driven youth of Rwanda. Despite the challenges they face, they're determined to make a difference in their country's future. They appreciate CVA for the effort to empower and actively involve the youth in democracy processes.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort that is being done by CVA into setting platforms for youth to share ideas and also learn from the platforms that are being set. And I believe that if they increase other partners around, because it being done by them alone won't it brings impact, but it needs more effort to bring involve more of local leaders, youth on the national level, leaders, so that because these are the voice to these young people, and when they meet almost every time, it helps a lot to to share discussions, to raise the issues at large, and also to to have more of this in other spaces. And I believe that if CVA is doing it right now here and also other parts, and the more it increases, I believe there will always be an impact, because impact doesn't need many people, but if one person is transformed, that one person can be able to light in other places, so that we can have such a great impact that we are really wishing for in the youth participation sector. And I believe that as they increase doing so, we shall have a good yield. So I really appreciate their efforts on such setting such platforms, so that we can have good, learn more, and also connect more as young people, but also to remind us our role, because whenever we go out in this world, we focus on different things, but whenever we have such platforms, it keeps us reminding us, it keeps us on track to know that actually we have a role to play in all these different sectors, and also awareness that we get information that helps us to know what's going on in the country, what's our role as youth to be able to play, and also to keep on ground on seeing what we can contribute towards what is being done.
Empowered and amplified voices of young people in unlocking democratic challenges and opportunities, demonstrating the active role of young people in shaping the future of democracy in Rwanda, were the expected outcomes of the Youth Conference. The conference not only provided a space for dialogue, but also yielded tangible outcomes, with participants leaving with key takeaways and actionable strategies to promote youth participation in decision-making processes.
We had different speakers and different panelists, and some of them were encouraging us about self-confidence and self-esteem. Not only that, and also they told us about to have dreams, and also they say that to have dream is one thing, and also you have to wake up so as to chase your dreams.
As the topic was amplifying youth voices in Rwanda, I have got or I have understood a lot of things that are going to be helping me in life. Like if we've said that amplifying youth voices in Rwanda, it's going to be done through these platforms. CVA is acting as a platform that is helping me to express my voice, to express my ideas. So my take home is to go and challenge the people that I have left home to be part of people that are taking decisions through attending things like community work, umuganda, which will help them to raise their voice.
With representatives from youth-led organizations, civil society, the private sector, academia, and international NGOs, the conference promises to be a melting pot of ideas and perspectives.
We're working hard so as to ensure that the marginalized community, especially youth and women, are engaged in those activities that aims to achieve human sustainable development.
I think CVA is doing a commendable job when it comes to youth participation in the democratic processes in Rwanda, because CVA is offering a space where youth can meet and discuss how they can work together to bring a positive impact in the community in terms of participation in decisions being made at different levels. So I think the first step for youth participation in the democratic processes in any country is creating such kind of platforms, the conferences where youth from different walks of life, different corners, different districts can meet and discuss their role in democratic processes. The second one is also equipping youth with different skills and knowledge to influence policies in the country. This is very important because it's part of the capacity building of the youth. If youth are empowered, this increases their confidence to also speak their minds, to articulate their needs and priorities to the local leaders and decision makers at different levels.
However, there is a need to create opportunities for young people to actively participate in decision-making processes.
Actually, it is being done, but the volume is not enough. When you look at the representation of young people in the parliament, we have 2 people representing around 27.1% of Rwandan population. This is a big number to be represented by only 2 people. Again, the functionality of NYCs, National Youth Councils, which are there to support youth voices, to ensure that youth voices and concerns are heard, they are not well functioning as their mandate entails. So we are here to ensure that we tackle all that so that the voice of youth can be heard. In my perspective, a lot still has to be done. Youth participation is not something that can be done in isolation. It is beyond what government can achieve alone. So as just other development aspects, it requires partnership with CSOs to ensure that it have a lasting and sustainable impact on democratic processes. What I think can be done from the government side, there is this structure that has been put in place. It has a very good mandate, NYC, National Youth Council, which is decentralized from national level to the village level. At each level, there's coordinators and other committee members. If they could provide them with financial support so that they can deliver on their responsibilities as mandate entails, that would be good. Because they're supposed to have a meeting with young people in their catchment area, but they don't do so because they are busy looking into how they can make a living. Because this is something they do on a voluntary basis. Sometimes they get occupation, they don't do that. And this affects youth part, because if this is a place that have been put in place to ensure that youth needs and concerns are reflected in administrative council meetings, as well as planning and budgeting processes, if they don't do so, youth voices are not going to be reflected in the planning and development processes, which in turn will affect the implementation of policies and programs that have been tailored to respond to the youth needs.
70 participants were hosted during the in-person meeting, and 36 participants attended virtually. Professor Eric Nushabandi attended virtually. When asked by the moderator, Mr. Eugene Anangwe,
Dr. Eric, I wanted to ask you this, and picking from the recent RPF Congress, where President Paul Kagame is actually asking the party to give him a successor. Why are professors of political science like you failing to support in developing young people who can be able to take up this role that, you know, is giving the president, pressure in terms of the succession politics of this particular country? What is it that you're doing? How do we now churn out politicians that are young people who can be able to continue driving the development of this country in one way or another? What is going on in that front, especially allowing young people to participate in political processes?
Professor Eric Nushabandi answered.
So what is done is to encouraging for intergenerational dialogue spaces like these ones.
Yeah.
And at the university, when they institutionalize the Wednesday afternoon, for example, to encourage people to participate.
Yeah.
But the problem, young people are still going for this laziness and for easy businesses, entertainment businesses, instead of going for these spaces where young people can take the mic and engage. So the youth-led political spaces and political dialogue, it's very key, and I'm not seeing, unfortunately, it's very much well structured at the university. And the main space, which have been very much developed, is about Pan-African movement. They have been highlighted as the first spaces, among the spaces where young people are engaging and they are leading themselves the spaces, the universities.
Participants were able to express themselves through asking different questions and were all answered by the panelists. Throughout the conference, participants engage in lively discussions, forge new partnerships, and develop actionable strategies to promote youth participation in democracy.
What does democracy mean to young people? So everyone here, you understand democracy. Democracy, it is the way the rules and the regulations from up to law. We have a freedom for speaking. We have to allow everyone to come to participate in decision making, what to do, when. So that is democracy.
Challenges affecting the meaningful participation in election and civic engagement. Simply, we have the lack of enough information and insufficient mobilization. In case we don't get enough information, of course, we don't know how these government initiatives are being conducted.
We have seen in government we don't have more representative in the government. So we suggest we have seen this challenge. It can be the bad challenge for the youth. When you take youth and give them voice, it can be good.
The takeaway message, and this was somehow challenging. The first one is dream big and wake up for that dream. We don't need a specific position to create an impact in the society. Knock on the door and it will be opened. If we knock and they don't open, please knock on another door.
We are requesting the government to increase the trust in the youth. I'm encouraging you all, and I was telling to myself that we have to work hand by hand by having self-confidence and self-esteem by encouraging incentives to youth volunteers. Like you can go in participating in the community work like Muganda, helping poor people. So I can end by saying that you and I, we can change the world, and together we can.
The overreaching objective is to empower and magnify the voices of young people, aiming at uncovering democratic challenges and opportunities, thereby illustrating the active roles of youth in shaping Rwanda's future. As we reflect on the success of this conference, here are the closing remarks from the distinguished guests.
As we come to close of this empowering gathering, I'm with immense gratitude and the admiration of every one of you who have dedicated your time, your energy, and passion towards advancing democracy process and amplifying youth voices. The theme of today's conference is Amplifying Youth Voices. Resonates deeply with the voice and core values of Citizen Voice and Action Organization and Global Democracy Coalition. Throughout the day, we have witnessed the power of meaningful dialogue among youth leaders, the importance of providing a safe space for sharing experience, innovative ideas related to democracy, and the necessity of a safe space for sharing experience, and enhancing youth engagement in the discourse on democracy.
I really applaud you on your focus on greater youth engagement and discourse about democracy, practicing the norms of active citizenship, participation in governance, not just for one's own benefit, but for the good of your entire community and country, is really a critical building block for building rule of law and prosperity in any democratic society around the globe.
It is really the time to bring the youth in the forefront when it comes to decision making and not making decisions on their behalf. I really want to encourage you all to continue the conversation and continue the action. You are the future and the ones that matter the most. So if somebody tells you, wait, you're too young to do something, you need to get more experience, don't listen. Just follow your ideas, follow your passion to create a better, inclusive, and democratic environment for youth.
Thanks to Citizen Voice and Actions that never stop pushing for more youth involvement and make our democracy even stronger. One thing is clear, the journey towards democracy is ongoing, and the voices of youth are louder than even before.